This has been my holy grail so far, beginning of the year, but woo! The Sisley's gonna give her a run for the money, and it better for $125 versus $70. Okay,
hey beauty fam, welcome to MikiCarrBeauty. Today I will be wearing and testing the new Sisley Phyto Skin Perfection Foundation. If you're interested in seeing a try-on, swatches, and review, then keep watching. Remember to subscribe, comment, and like below. Really helps out engagement on my channel. And let's try this new Sisley foundation.
So it is early morning. Let me share some details about this foundation. This new foundation just came out recently, early February. It is called the Phyto-Teint Perfection. It comes in 29 shades, and it says it's mattifying, transfer-proof, high coverage foundation powered by the ideal skin complex to improve the look of quality of skin over time. And it's supposed to be skincare and makeup as one, which makes sense because that's how Sisley markets their products. They're really known for skincare first and then makeup, but they infuse a lot of their skincare properties into their makeup. These are the claims. Instantly, skin texture looks smooth and refined. With each application, the skin appears plumped and imperfections are less visible. Phyto-Teint Perfection Foundation gives a naturally radiant matte finish. Its ultra long-lasting transfer-proof formula has an undetectable texture for flawless skin and day-long comfort. Offering medium to high buildable coverage with no cakey effect, Phyto-Teint Perfection visibly blurs imperfection and minimizes pores. The complexion appears enhanced and more even, in a word, perfect. Those are really big claims. The foundation is available in a wide range of 29 shades. Phyto-Teint Perfection is non-comedogenic. It also claims the foundation is available in a wide range of shades to adapt to all skins. The range has 11 intensity levels to suit many skin tones, from 0 the fairest to 8 the deepest. Once you've found your intensity, the range is divided into undertones. C for cool, N for neutral, W for warm, which refers to whether your skin has more pink or yellow tones. So this foundation retails $125. That's a whopping $125. These foundations are really coming for our coin. I recently reviewed the Prada Foundation for you, which was $77. Then the Louboutin, which I believe is $70, and now we're almost double the price, almost, with $125. That's par on course with Sisley. Sisley is known to be a really high-end luxury skincare line, and a lot of people think it's too expensive. I agree, and when you're paying luxury prices, in a way, it's like you can complain about the price, but it is what it is. For me, I have really super sensitive skin, and Sisley is one of the very few brands I can actually tolerate because of my skin sensitivity. So I really generally trust their foundations and their skincare because it doesn't flare up my skin. I actually picked this foundation up through Nordstrom, and I worked with my sales associate at Nordstrom. She's primarily a Chantecaille sales associate, but whenever there's a sale or things that I need, I just text her. And I work with her because, you know, I have a relationship with her, and then she can get commission. And the wonderful thing is, because I have a relationship with her, I said, you know, I don't have time to come in store. Do you mind doing swatches for me? And I told her what my closest foundation shade in Chantecaille is, which is Shea. And she went ahead and did some swatches for me compared to Shea in the Chantecaille Featured Gel Skin Foundation. And I was going to buy 4W, which you can see here, because I'm a lot warmer because I went on a tropical vacation. But as you can see, 4W is way too warm, and this is what I always have to work with. I have a warm undertone, but it's not super yellow and warm. And so I think I ended up with 3W2, which is the one that's like one shade down than 4, but I don't know what the 2 means other than it's a warm undertone. Maybe it means warm olive. We'll see. So this is what it looks like. Let me lower the lights because it's a little bit blown out here. Let me lower the lights. I'm filming in natural light, and it's also gray cast out, so typical Seattle weather. I think we'll see. What I'll do is some swatches of this. And when you work with your SA, the wonderful thing is that she sent me goodies, and I'll show a picture of all the goodies she sent. She sent me some samples of Sisley, and because she works at Chantecaille, she sent me 4 samples of Chantecaille and then some perfume as well from Chloe and then Tory Burch. And really what this says is makeup with botanical extracts. It's like skincare makeup. Okay, so that is the pump, one pump. And that is the shade. Ooh, it's pretty thin. It feels very skincare lotion-y like, but it's very pigmented. It smells good. It doesn't have perfume. It smells like, wow, that's really pigmented. Okay, so I can see already that this is the type of foundation where a little bit is going to go a long way. That was one pump. So I have the Louboutin Foundation right here, and if you're interested in that review or that comparison, I'll put it up, link above or in below. This is Louboutin, oop, that was a big pump, in 40 Warm Olive. And I know they said they have 29 shades, but I just don't think it's enough in today's market just to have that many shades. You should have a lot more. I always think of Fenty being the standard and not just having shades, it's like the undertones. So this is my biggest gripe about a lot of foundations, is that they might do warm, but there's a lot of people who are also true olive and then warm olive. And that's also why I started my channel. I could never find foundation and makeup that really suited me. So you can see this warm olive is definitely more like, definitely warmer. And let me do a foundation, a pump of the Prada Foundation, and this is medium warm 45. It's very similar, and actually, ooh, this is promising. So I think this is a bit too light, but it adjusts. That's the technology of the Prada Foundation. It is, this Sisley one is definitely more warm leaning, so it's promising. It might adjust. Okay, I can tell already the Sisley one is definitely more like the mattest one. And this is supposed to be matte to the Louboutin, but it's more like a soft matte with radiance. The Prada's like more full coverage for sure with a matte finish as well. It'll dry down. Let me just spread it out. Yes, and I can see already the Sisley is drying down already super matte, and it has really good coverage. Okay, my favorite primer. This is the Sisley Double Tensor Primer. It's more skincare than primer, but what I love about it, and especially today, and I'll get in a little closer so you can see, I'm actually having a skin reaction, a rosacea outbreak, and this is what happens when I do things that I shouldn't do or I forgot. So yesterday I'm trying to eat less meat, and I don't know, Beauty Fam, if you have dietary like allergies, which I do. I can't do dairy, and I'm actually trying to eat less meat to be healthier, but I don't do dairy. So a lot of people who eat vegetarian put lots of cream and like butter, and like the other thing that I can't do with rosacea, and if you have rosacea or somebody in your family that has it, you know if you know, which is that one of the triggers of rosacea can be spices and spicy food. Well, I ended up getting dal, which is like the vegetarian meal, and there was like so much spice in there. At least it was vegan, but because of the spices, my skin is reacting. So one of the things I love to do is you actually use this Sisley Double Tensor as like a calming primer. It's really just magical. This is the wonderful thing about Sisley, of like, I don't complain about the price of the skincare because it does what it needs to do, at least for me, especially someone who has very reactive skin. So this will help soothe. It smells so good. There are days where I just want to use this as skincare and not even just as a primer. So I would have to say this is probably my number one favorite product from Sisley. Okay, so I'm going to try putting this foundation on in 3 different ways in 3 different areas. We'll start with this side with a pump. I'm actually just going to put a pole pump on my hand because I want to see how much it takes to cover my face. So what I'm going to do is take that one pump and just dot it on this side. And then taking my MikiCarrBeauty 101 brush. There is a scent, but it doesn't smell like perfume. It smells like skincare. And then lowering the ring light because it can blow out. Okay, and that was probably 1/3 of that pump. I didn't want to go heavy because I wanted to see how much coverage a little bit will do. So this is definitely really pigmented. Next thing I'm going to do is take a third of what's on my hand, and I did dampen a sponge, a beauty blender, and I want to just spread that up here. And I don't put too much on my forehead because that's where I usually can see foundation being built, because that's where a lot of my wrinkles are. But if you put too much, or at least I put too much foundation up there, it just looks obviously I'm wearing foundation. Okay, that spread really lightly. So obviously if you want a lighter foundation, use a damp beauty blender. I know one side's dirty. I'm using the clean side. I want to see if I can build it up. So right now I'm probably more than half of this is gone. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is put the rest, it's all gone, whatever I have remaining. What I'm going to try to do is actually use my fingers. It's spread okay, but because it's matte, I wouldn't recommend doing that. I mean, if you're in a pinch, sure, it can work. Okay, so it is a smidge too light, but I think it's okay, because what happens, we'll see, I'll do a wear test the rest of the day. What happens a lot with foundation, I have to really wear test it after a couple days, because depending my skin prep, if my skin gets super oily, sometimes depending on my oils and then the foundation, when they meet, it can really just settle the color. And some people might call it oxidation. I just call it my natural oils are coming through, whether it oxidizes or not. And sometimes with what goes on as lighter foundation at the beginning, because of the day wearing and the formula and my oil, it can just really settle throughout the day. But in terms of a shade match, it's actually pretty good. It's a smidge, again, too light, but I think the 4W would have been way too deep. Okay, so what I'm going to do, and this is what I do with all my foundations, I'm going to do half a pump, if I can control that. A lot came out. What I'm going to do is actually do some spot treatment. And I do this, and you can see it even more today, because I'm having a rosacea flare up. I just go in really gently to my cheeks where my rosacea flare up is occurring, and I go ahead and just add a little more, and I just pat it in. I'm not stippling really like hard. I'm actually just applying this ever so delicately and softly on my face. I love this BK Beauty brush. I swear that's the more I use it, the more it's actually softening up. And sometimes synthetic brushes don't soften up, but this one does, and I just love it. Okay, so now I know I went over with a hand application of this. It was too sheer for my liking, and I'm gonna be going to work, so I just need some coverage. Okay, so you can see where I'm having like a flare up right here. I'm gonna go ahead and tell her to calm down, honey. It's okay. And maybe this Magic Sisley foundation will help temper this rosacea flare up. It's definitely full coverage. It's more full coverage than the Louboutin foundation and perhaps even the Prada foundation. But the difference between the Prada and this foundation is that this looks still skin-like. The more I add for that Prada foundation, the more it definitely looks like I'm wearing a foundation. I'm just taking whatever I have left over here, and I'm putting it on my acne spots and any sort of discoloration that I have. I definitely have cystic acne on my neck and chin, and what happens even if I don't pick at the acne, as it's healing, I do have scarring, like black or dark spots. So just kind of going over those areas ever so lightly. I love this smell. I love the smell. It smells like skincare. It doesn't smell like perfume to me. Other people might not like it. To me, it's like a very classic Sisley smell, like skincare. Whereas like the other two, like Prada, And Louboutin definitely smells like perfume. Okay, so what I did is actually I used my finger and went into where I was having this like flare up because it was too gentle. So I actually caked it on a little bit, and it's nice. It actually covered it, and it doesn't look super cakey. Okay, so that is what the foundation looks like. Again, a smidge too light, but it could be adjusting after a while. So I'll watch that. I'll be on the lookout to see if it adjusts throughout the day, and then I'll finish my makeup and then come back. I wanted to pop on because I want to actually powder this down, and I'm actually going to use my Givenchy powder. I tried to make a promise with myself to use any loose powder that I have first before I repurchase my Sisley loose powder, but I have to say that Sisley loose powder is my favorite powder. So it is what it is. I'm just using the Prisme Libre. This is the Mousseline Acidule shade. And this is a pretty loose powder. I think what it is, I don't like the scent on here. Givenchy uses a lot of perfume, at least in their powder. And what I love about that Sisley loose powder, obviously I'm a Sisley fan, is that it doesn't lighten my skin. It's just a really, on me at least, more of a translucent powder. But this is pretty. This is pretty. So we're just going to use that today. That looks really nice. This is probably the most natural looking matte foundation that I've ever used. Pretty. So that's it. So this is what I'm going to wear into work. So I think it's a beautiful natural look. It's turned into like a warm tone look, but I think it's really beautiful. Let me get in. I'm not going to use setting spray because sometimes I find with setting spray, depending on the ingredients in it, sorry for the noise, it can sometimes make my face look more oily. But I think because of my skincare unlock, there's almost like a beautiful radiance to this. It's like a matte, and it looks full coverage. It looks really beautiful. I'm really happy with this foundation so far. It doesn't look cakey, which is so interesting. Like the Prada foundation, where it is, the Prada, if I do, it is more full coverage, and I have to be really careful with this because it definitely looks like I'm wearing foundation. Whereas with this Sisley foundation, it doesn't look cakey. It looks like the most beautiful natural matte on the medium full coverage spectrum that I've worn. It's not caking. It just looks beautiful. Wow. This is like the year of foundation so far. Wow. I'm just saying wow, because this has been my holy grail so far, beginning of the year, but woo, the Sisley's gonna give her a run for the money, and it better for $125 versus $70. Okay, so I'm going to do a check-in later and then let you know how it wears. And then I usually don't powder down unless I'm super oily. I usually use blotting papers, but we'll see. So I'll be back with a check-in. Okay, I want to do one last check-in before I head out the door. One thing I did notice with this foundation, because it's matte, and it could be just any formula of matte, but my forehead, you can definitely see more of the wrinkles. And I think next time I might actually just ignore putting foundation up there, but we'll see. But that's how the foundation is looking like. I am back after a very long day at work. I think I'm looking at the clock now. It's officially 9:30, and I believe I put this makeup on around 9 this morning. So it's officially 12 hours in. I don't know if you can tell, I'm actually in my pajamas, and I'm just gonna do a quick like recap of what I'm seeing here. So I can see this as long wearing, but it's definitely not what we're seeing of like a 24-hour wear like the Louboutin or the Prada. let's look at the foundations. The first thing I noticed is that although it went on light, it either oxidized or just settled with my oils. And that's what I thought would happen. It definitely settled down to a warmer color. So something to note, like, I'm not sure if there's oxidation. Maybe there is oxidation that happens, but either way, it definitely is a deeper or warmer color than what I put on. It's definitely a matte foundation, and I would say like a full medium. It's not like full coverage because you can see where some of it's starting to lift a little bit, but not in a bad way. Literally, it's been 12 hours, I think. So I don't wear makeup this long. Usually I'm going to take the makeup off right after I film this like check-in, end of the day check-in. It's a beautiful foundation. I'm going to keep testing it, and I'll pin a comment below. What I'm noticing is that it's not a 24-hour wear. So if I wanted something that was kind of more, I would say like more oil proof and budge proof, I would probably still reach for my Chanel Ultra Le Teint or this Prada, because those two are really kind of more full coverage, oily resistant. Now, I would say so far that I think this is one of the most beautiful matte natural looking foundations. It doesn't really look in real life that I'm wearing any makeup. Before I stop filming, what I'm going to do is take some of these oil blotting papers, and I did use some of these oil blotting papers after lunch today around 1 o'clock because my face was super oily. I had walked probably, I want to say like a couple city blocks. It was definitely a 15-ish, maybe 20-minute walk at a brisk pace downtown, and it was raining, and it was very like, our weather here is, it's humid when it rains, but like not hot humid, it's just a humidity because of the rain. And so I was sweating and then I was eating, so my face was like super oily. So I did have to touch up my face. I did use the oil blotting papers, and I just ran out of my favorite Tatcha ones, and I have these ones from Amazon that are just okay. Where are these from? Made in China. They're okay. They got a little powder on it, and I don't like that. The Tatcha ones are the best ones on the market, in my opinion. I do think this is full coverage. Again, I just told you what I would probably use on a day where it's going to be 12 hours or more. I might use the Prada or Chanel, but for some reason I came home late and I actually had to get on a phone call. And it's just been a really long day. So if I was having a super long day, I don't know if I would use this, but it's holding up really good. Let me get in close. So this is what the foundation is looking like after over 12 hours of wear. I think naturally my rosacea tends to peek through. So I do think in terms of having fuller coverage, that would be Chanel Ultra Le Teint Flawless Foundation. Flawless? I'll put the name below. The Chanel one is definitely more full coverage, and then Prada for sure. But for a daytime look where it's like a really natural looking matte foundation, it's really, really beautiful. I'm really happy so far with the shade match of 3W2. What's really nice about this, it claims it's ultra long-lasting skincare foundation, and that it's non-comedogenic and oil-free. So I'll continue to wear this. I do like that there's a lot of skincare in it, and it just kind of is, I feel like that Sisley was doing skincare in their foundation before it became the big trend, because they started off as a skincare line. So I feel like they're going to be a little bit more truthful. I'm not sure about the skincare in these newer products like Louboutin or Prada. So I don't know. I'd have to, like, I'm going to use it more. I can't tell you which one I like better. These three are really different foundations, because this is really like more of a traditional matte, the Sisley. Prada is like a soft matte, but like more full coverage. And the Louboutin, although it is a matte, it does have like radiance to it, and it's not completely dry and less full coverage. So they're all different in different ways. I mean, they're all saying that they're matte. I think I still prefer, like in terms of a finish, I prefer the finish of Louboutin because it looks the most skin-like. and I feel like I just kind of like that finish more. This is like super matte, although it's really, really pretty. It almost looks like I'm not wearing makeup, which is really, really nice. So the bottle is really beautiful. It's also like glass frosted, Sisley on top. It's a really luxe packaging. It's also 30 mils, which is the standard, made in France. And so this is also, I think these are all 30 mils. Yes. So all of these are 1 fluid ounce, and I think they're all really beautiful foundations. It depends on what you're looking for. If you were to ask me which ones do I like the best at this moment, and it's biased because I just been recency biased because I've been using it a lot, is probably the Louboutin. I just love the packaging even more because I think it's more luxe, but I just like the finish more. And then I would say I can see myself using this one a lot, and the Prada even less, because it definitely looks like I'm wearing foundation when I wear it. Generally don't prefer wearing foundation that looks like I'm wearing foundation, if that makes sense. But that's just like a preference thing, but it really looks beautiful for full coverage. If you have any questions below about the Sisley foundation, anything I didn't answer for you today, let me know in the comments below. And remember to subscribe to my channel. It helps me out engagement. Comment and like below. It helps me out as well. The closest foundation shades are listed below in the description box, so check those out if you want to use those as shade reference. And if you want to know more about the products I talked about in this video, if you want to help out my channel, you can use those affiliate links and I earn a small commission. I use that small commission to keep buying products to review for you on my channel. So that's it, beauty fam. And remember to be kind to yourself and others, and just be you. Until the next video, take good care, beauty fam. Bye!